Happy Thursday evening to ya. Welcome to our plant-based bunch. How's everybody? So you guys have noticed that I haven't been doing many vlogs because we have been making some changes again in our house. I've been doing a lot of praying and God has really touched my heart that I need to do some things like get to bed earlier. And I have been doing that, which means I haven't been editing because I usually edit after everybody goes to bed. I'm just regrouping, trying to reroute things, and we are going to get back on it as soon as I get my schedule tweaked. But having said that, I have been wanting to do this video for a long time, and I actually tried to do it a couple of days ago, and it just didn't work out for me to do it. So now I am here. Now I have a moment I'm going to share with you. This is going to be raw. This is going to be real. This is going to try to be as concise as possible, but at the same time, I really just want to be able to share this with you because I hope that it will help other families, other parents to be able to understand that there is hope, to not give up, and to just pray for your children. Having said that, I do have Nick's permission to do this video because this is going to really focus on Nick's situation, although it affects our whole family. So, let's just move right on into it. I don't know if, I know a lot of you have wondered where Nick had been, you know, actually it's been probably over the last year especially, you know, where's Nick? How come he's not in the videos? What is he doing? And we'd say, oh, well, you know, he's not interested, or he's doing this, or he's out here, or he's whatever. To just be quite frank with you, he was at a very low point in his life over this past year because he just didn't want any part of the ministry of actually he didn't really want to participate in our family as a whole, and that is because of getting caught up in playing video games. And I'm not saying that playing video games is wrong in and of itself, but the devil knows how to use video games to steal our children, to take them away. And I just wanted to share with you, kind of give you an idea of what was going on, what's been happening, and how God has gotten us through this and is still working with us and Nick to be rid of this, to be done with this. So just to kind of a background, this all started when we got the tablets. We got one tablet. This is way back in 2011, when the kids were still pretty young, and we weren't even living here in Sandwich, Illinois. That's where we are. And everybody got excited. Curtis and I got excited. The kids got excited about having these tablets, and I think that as much as we thought that we were being good parents, watching, being mindful of what the kids are watching, supervising fully. Just to share it with you straight up, is that we gave them a little bit too much leeway because we didn't really realize the dangers. As much as we thought we realized the dangers in allowing our kids to have that access to the computers and internet, we really didn't understand fully. I mean, we touted ourselves as, you know, these conservative parents that were very careful with our kids. We watched what they did. We watched who they played with. We are very careful with a lot of things. You guys, a lot of you know that we are very unique and different people, and then there's a lot of things that we do and don't do that most people do. But we don't even have TV. We didn't even have TV. We don't even have TV in our house. And we thought, wow, you know what, we're really taking the best care of our kids. And I'm not saying that TV is bad. I'm just saying that it's okay. That's another story. Anyway, let me go back to the computers. Oh, guys, this is just, I don't even know. I'm just praying that the Lord gives me his words, because this is so serious, and I don't want to sound like we've got it all figured out and that we are the best parents, because we are not. And this is showing you that we really don't have it all figured out, and the only way that you can parent your kids properly and to train them up right is with God's help, with His strength, with His power. And a lot of times we think that we're doing that, and we're just trying to do it on our own, really, and not really seeking God's help as we should. Anyway, the kids were getting to the point where they were getting this tablet and they were up in the night watching videos and things, and I caught on to that, and I nipped it. I said, no, we're not going to be watching these YouTube videos, especially freely. I want to know what you're watching, why you're watching it, what purpose does it have for you to watch it, and you've got to keep letting me know. But we never really, the tablet was freely available more than we should have let it. And then they started getting into playing, innocent games, fun games. And even Curtis and I would play games with them, little bowling games, miniature golf games, little bike riding games. And then it got to the point where they were wanting to play more and more games, and it started getting out of hand. And I realized that, and I said, you guys, well, you really got to slow it down with these games. But at that point, I think they were too far involved. They really enjoyed them, and it seemed like especially Nick. And we would find Nick in the middle of the night playing more games. And as we've been going through this situation, and I've been researching, I have discovered that really any kind of game where you are constantly getting points or you're leveling up, it gives that body that adrenaline rush. And actually there's that emotional response, and there's actually a chemical response in the brain that is like taking a drug, to where you get that euphoric feeling every time you start leveling up and getting better and better and better, and you just keep wanting to get better and better and better. You keep wanting to go up to the next level. And he was starting to do that even then, really getting excited about these games and doing better and getting more points and getting to higher levels. And I realized that we were starting to have a problem, but I didn't really realize how it was really catching Nick. And we would say, no, Nick, you can't have the tablet right now, or we would set more time constraints and be a little bit more diligent. But it was too late then. Even then, this is back, we're going to 11, 12, 2012, 2013. Even when we moved here in 2013, and I had not realized that he was taking the computers and getting up in the middle of the night even then and playing these games because he knew that I wasn't letting him play them during the day. And I got to really be careful how I'm sharing this, because a lot of parents, we judge each other. We compare ourselves to each other. It's human nature to say, well, you shouldn't have done this way, you shouldn't have done that way. And I never ever want to come across as feeling like what we're doing is always right and what you're doing is always wrong. But I strongly felt at that point that we never should have allowed any kind of games to be played, because of that potential of getting sucked into it. And kids, their minds, Satan works to get into the family through the children first, because their minds are so pliable and they're so easily pulled into the wrong direction. They want that excitement, that I don't even know. Anyway, having said that, we started getting things a bit under control, and things were doing pretty well. And couple of years ago, I decided, well, maybe there was a deal at Verizon. They had these tablets. They were only $50 a tablet if you got on their Wi-Fi plan. So I thought, the kids are doing really well, and it seemed like they were, but I didn't realize that Nick was actually getting up even then in the night and getting on the computer and doing stuff, playing games and watching YouTube videos and whatnot. And I said, honey, it would be really good for school if they each had their own tablet. So we got one for, not for Caroline, we got one for the big kids, Nick, Olivia, and Catherine. And I thought, wow, this will be really good for school. They can do their schoolwork on these. They can, do all kinds of stuff. One thing I should not have done, looking back, is that I should never have gotten any kind of tablet with Wi-Fi on it, because it's very hard to regulate what your kids are doing and watching and seeing when they have their own tablets. And they were young. They were still young then. I don't even know. What year was that? That was like 3 years ago. So Nick was like 11. Oh man, they were young. Anyhow, I mean, 11's not so bad, but the girls were pretty young. But actually, looking back, 11, I'm rambling. Anyhow, we got these tablets, and they got into like big trouble with them, even the girls. But it seems like the girls were easier to get to understand where I was coming from. The girls were I was able to share with them and say, hey, this isn't good, Catherine and Olivia. But Nick, he was just like totally enamored, totally sucked in to all the freedom that comes with having this little tablet, and you can reach anything in the world you can do on this thing. And he wasn't sleeping well at night, and I didn't realize that he was using it at night for a while. Still, I should have been able to figure it out, because the kids oftentimes were grumpy, especially Nick, and just didn't seem quite right during the day. And anyway, once I finally realized it, I ended up taking all of the tablets. First it was for a little while, then I give them back, and then they get in trouble again. I take them for a little longer and give them back. Finally, I get to the point where I took the SIM cards out, so they didn't have any Wi-Fi, any 4G. They could only use it on the Wi-Fi. And that worked to a point, but then they were still getting them out at night, especially Nick. And Nick was coercing Olivia to join him. I guess, you know, he wanted somebody to join with him, so he wasn't alone in all this. And I ended up having to take all of the tablets, simply so that Nick, because every time I took Nick's, he would find somebody else's, or he would coerce Olivia into giving her password, and he would get into hers and start using hers. And then I got rid of, and then I told her, I told her if he were to have hers, and that she gave him the password, that she would be disciplined also. So Nick went to the next one. He went to Catherine's, and he just started taking Catherine's. And then he got to the point where he was just rebooting it, factory resetting it every time, because he wanted to get in there, and he would just like bypass the password by factory resetting it all. I mean, he was getting to the point where he would do anything he could do to get his hands on something computer. And I'm just not going to keep going on and on with this. The thing is that I ended up taking all of the tablets, and then I got to the point where they were doing better, and then I ended up buying a couple of laptops, because Nick said he was done. Mom, I'm done. He was so convincing. He said, I am finished with it. I am not doing it anymore. I'm not playing video games. I'm going to obey you. So I got the laptops. I got 2 laptops for Nick and Olivia, so that they could do their schoolwork on them, you know? And it didn't go so well. It was almost no time where I found out that Nick was starting to play like bad video games, tank games, shooting games, and I was really upset. I was really sad about it, and I didn't realize, you know, he was already way up there on the totem pole when it came to who was really good at these games. He was quite the competitor. And I tried to share with him that shooting and, you know, tanks, that even though you're not doing it in real life, it doesn't help perfect the character or draw you closer to the Lord. And I really tried to reach him from the heart and say, you know, Nick, God really loves you. He doesn't want you to for one thing, waste so much time on these things, and then to learn about shooting people and killing people. It's just, you guys, it's just, we've got to pray for our kids. And I know that there's a point where you have to let go and let your kids, you know, learn on their own, but you've got to have that wisdom and that common sense. You've got to know, you've got to let God lead and give you the strength to to lead them in a way where they have some level of freedom, but at the same time, you're still supervising what they're doing and training them and sharing with them so that they don't get caught up into this cycle of playing these games. It got to the point here within the last year that Nick wasn't doing any school because he wanted to play video games. I thought he was doing work on the computer, to find out that he was actually just playing video games. And he was so slick, every time I'd walk up there, he'd change the window. And then he got to the point where he didn't care. He was so far behind in school because here I thought he was doing his work. He has some trouble really learning, so I figured he was just kind of slow. But then he was getting very, very tired. He was sleeping all day long, and then I discovered that he was up hours in the middle of the night playing video games, still playing these video games, and he didn't care what I thought. He didn't care what I said about it. He was just going to keep doing it. And I got to the point where Curtis and I were fighting about it, because Curtis is like, just let him do it. Let him see what the results are. Let him see what the ramifications are of doing this. And I came to the conclusion that, you know, we have to protect our children. I have to protect him from what he's getting into. I have to protect the girls from whatever influence he might be on them from what he's doing on these laptops, on these video games. And Curtis and I would have differences on this. And I got to this point where I was hiding all of the equipment. I was changing passwords, and he was still getting into stuff. He was still finding ways on my laptop. No, not my laptop. The laptop that I took from him, he just took it and factory reset it, started. I didn't even know it. He got to the point where he was just lying all the time, lying about whether he was up at night, lying about whether he was, you know, it's just like a drug addict. You're going to lie, you're going to do whatever you can to get that high. And he was doing that. And if you look, I don't have the links right now, but I did a lot of research. And if I think of it and think of which one it was that I watched that really hit the nail on the head, I'll put a link in the description below. But there is such a pull. There is an addiction. It's like physically, chemically an addiction, just like you're doing drugs when you're playing these video games. And he got to the point where he would rather play the video games than sleep, than eat. We got to one point where I said, you know, Curtis is the priest of the home, and he says, what we're going to do is just let him have it. If he wants it, let him have it, let him do what he wants. And I did that. And he was miserable. He was crying all the time. He was up all night. He was barely eating. He would only come and grab a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or whatever, and he would constantly play these games for hours upon hours upon hours, for just nonstop. I think it went on for a week, and finally I told Curtis, I said, this is not going well. I said that we have got to cut this off right now. So we ended up taking his laptop again, and you guys, it's just such a burden, such a struggle to deal with something like this. I don't want anybody to ever have to go through this. When we went to North Carolina, the girls and I really wanted Nick to go with us, and he said, no, you know, I'm going to stay home and I'm going to take care of Daddy. And I said, Nick, you cannot. He said, I want to prove to you, Mom, that I can be home and not get on these computers and not play these video games like I was. And I said, you know, and Curtis said, okay, let him. I really, really, really fought about it. I fought against it. Curtis was like, no, just let him stay home. So that 2.5 weeks that we were home, he did nothing but play video games. I actually had Curtis take his laptop to work with him so that he couldn't play during the day, but as soon as he got home, he would play. He would play and play and play and play. And then he got to the point where he was actually switching a broken laptop and putting it in the laptop bag and keeping the good laptop in the house and hiding it until Curtis got to work. And Curtis was thinking that he had the laptop when he actually had the broken one, so that he could just keep playing all day long, all evening, into the night, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, playing, not getting up in the mornings until, you know, 10, 11, 12 o'clock, because Curtis was at work. And I had a feeling it was going to happen, and it did happen. And when I came home, I told him when I came home that everything was going to be taken. And he fought that so bad, you guys. You have no idea how he fought that. But I took everything. I put password on the desktop. I took the laptop. I put everything away. You know, I finally got smart and figured out how to keep the things from him without him getting a hold of them and being able to get in them with the passwords and things. And it got to the point where he was constantly telling me how much he hated me, how he wanted nothing to do with me. He even told me that, I mean, I'm telling you these things not to shock you or to say hurtful things about what Nick says to me, but to show you how addictive this can be. You know, how evil addiction is, no matter what it is, drugs, alcohol, whatever you're idolizing, in video games. He got to the point where he was telling me that he wouldn't be upset at all if I got hit by a car and was killed and splattered all over the street. And that hurt. That hurt as a mom. But you know, I would cry, and then I would stand back up. I'd get on my knees and pray and stand back up and say, Nick, I am not letting go. I said, I love you more than anybody on this earth will love you, no matter how much you tell me you hate me. I love you more than anybody. He was wanting to go to foster care just so he could be on video games. And I said, you know, there's nobody out there that will love you more than I do, and nobody loves you more than the Lord loves you. And I really tried to drive that home with him. And I would not give in. And it was about 6 weeks of this. 6 weeks? Yeah. And he finally said, Mom, you did the right thing. I love you so much. I'm so glad that you stuck it out. And this is the part that really I get emotional, because I'm just so happy about this. I'm just so excited that I don't even know why I'm surprised. But it just took so much time, and it took so much for me to finally, you know, give it to the Lord. I got on my knees and said, God, do something with him. And when he came up to me and said, Mom, you did the right thing. I love you so much for sticking it through and for continuously loving me no matter how many times I told you I hate you, and I never hated you. I only said those things because I wanted you to break down and give me those videos and let me play those video games. And I'm telling you, today, he has conversations now that he says, Mom, I don't even know why I loved him so much. I don't even know what interest I saw in them, because now I don't care about them. I don't care to play them. I'm having so much enjoyment in life, being with the family again, participating in the family chores and cooking and eating the meals and being a part of this ministry and going on outings. I'm going grocery shopping, doing all these things. My boy is back. And I'm not saying that we still don't have our troubles and our trials, because we still have issues that pop up now and then. His character needs to be molded, perfected, and he's got a lot of stuff that needs to be weeded out. But we are on the right stretch, and I just praise God for that. I'm just so thankful to God for that. And I know this is long. I just really don't know how. I didn't really know how to condense it without getting you guys to realize how deep and how serious this is, and to tell you, don't try to take this matter into your own hands. Give it to the Lord, give it to God, and he will reclaim your child. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart. And we have to hold on to that. We have to claim that promise and know that you're doing your part, that you are doing what God tells you, how God tells you to raise your child. And as you're doing that, if he's falling away or she's falling away, stand on those promises and just don't give up. Don't give in, and just keep praying. Thank you for watching. I love you all. We're going to start vlogging again soon, and we've got a lot to share. So stay tuned. Till next time, don't forget to live well and be strong. Adios.